Well, hello YouTube, Steve Patton with General Patton Bushcraft back with you, and I'm super excited to bring you the show notes for Alone Season 12, Episode 4, friends. They took a week off, so I apologize for that. Nothing I could do. I had to wait a week to bring you the show note for Episode 4, but before we get into that, take a moment and please subscribe. Bang the bell icon in the drop-down menu. Do select all, friends. All right, let's get started with the show notes. Okay, friends, this is Alone Season 12, Episode 4, and the title is Finding a Foothold. Every Alone show starts out with a famous quote from a famous person, and today's quote for Episode 4 is, quote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards," unquote. And that's by Soren Kierkegaard. All right, friends, it's day 6, 8:17 in the morning, and 6 people remain. The show goes right to Douglas. He's the 57-year-old from North Carolina, USA, and he wakes up and says it was a brutal night. It's starting to get cold, friends. Last night it was down to about 41 degrees. They have no sleeping bags. Remember, no sleeping bags allowed on South Africa, the Great Karoo, Season 12. And you may choose a bivy sack, but you can't bring a sleeping bag. And Douglas says he needs to fortify his shelter, and he wants to thatch the shelter with some grass. He doesn't have a whole lot of grass in the area. He does have some bulrush. That's some long, skinny, thin stuff. So he takes a bunch of bulrush and he fortifies the back wall of his shelter. And in South Africa, the dry season is during the winter, and that's the months of May to August. And he does a nice job of closing in one side of the shelter with that bulrush. All right, friends, it's still day 6 now, 12:07 p.m., and the show goes over to Doug. That's D-U-G. He's the 54-year-old from New Hampshire, USA, and he makes some tea from buffalo thorn leaves. And we see him taking the decorative stitching out of his belt. Super smart on Doug, and he builds a real nice giant fly for fishing, and it's got white and red on it. The white part he got from the tag on his underwear. He found a small little feather that looks really cool on the giant fishing lure. And he takes some red and some brown stitching off of that belt and ties it around the fly to make a red body with some brown stitching. Really nice looking fly or lure, friends. Great work on Doug. He's off down to the lake, and on the way down there he finds a great big impala carcass with some giant sharp impala horns on the skull. Big, beautiful horns. He's down on the lake with that brand new fly. He catches one, but it gets off right before he can get it to shore. So he fishes until about 2:15, nothing. And on the way back to camp, he checks under a flat rock and he catches a big old scorpion, cuts the tail off. And Doug has been eating sorrel, purslane, cocky bush, buffalo thorn leaves, and prickly pear. Back at camp, he roasts and he eats that scorpion, and he says it's good. He burned it, but good. He says it's pretty tasty. He said it tastes a little like soft shell crab. Okay, friends, it's still day 6, 3:37 p.m. The show goes over to Baha. That's B-A-H-A. He's the 50-year-old from Ontario, Canada, and he needs to move his shelter. we see that tent style 3-pole tent that he made with his tarp. He's able to keep it intact, all tied together, but he has to move it because the water's creeping up on that shoreline, almost getting up to his fire pit. So he successfully moves the shelter. And remember, Baja, he didn't bring a ferro rod, so he's trying to keep the fire going all the time, and it could be messing up his hunting, friends, because of the smoke, the continuous smoke coming off that fire. Maybe it's keeping the animals away. We'll see what happens. He does make some nice fishing hooks though. On day 3, he found a big piece of cable wire, and he makes 3 nice fishing poles with short line, friends. He's waiting for these catfish to come cruising along the shoreline, and with a beetle and a centipede, he puts those fishing poles out there. And after dark, friends, he's back in the tent. He can hear something. He senses something, hears something down by the water. He goes down there, and after dark, friends, he catches a nice 30-inch sharp-toothed catfish. This is about a 4-pounder, about 1,700 calories. Good for Baja. That night he eats the fish head. And Baja, he also brought salt, friends. So he salted that fish head up real good, and it tastes good, he says. He says it's awesome to finally get some food in the stomach. Okay, friends, it's day 7 now, 11:05 in the morning, and the show goes over to Katie. She's the 45-year-old from Emerald Beach, Australia. She's eating prickly pear, and she sees a herd of 9 waterbuck grazing on the hillside. Katie has been eating buffalo thorn leaves, sweet thorn, acacia seeds, and prickly pear. She tries fishing, takes her shoes and socks off, rolls her pants up, and wades out into the lake about knee deep and tries some fishing. And she's hoping for some catfish that could be patrolling along the rocky bottom looking for crabs. No fish for Katie. She sees an ibis. That's one of those big white shorebirds with the real long beak. She tries to stalk it. She gets a shot off with her bow and arrow. That ibis just flies the coop. No bird for her on this day. 5 p.m. she goes down fishing again, throws the line out, and she waits. Okay, friends, day 8, 8:41 in the morning. The show goes over to Nathan. Nathan is the 53-year-old from Idaho, USA, and he loses another hook, friends, on that rocky bottom on the lake. He's lost 5 out of 25 hooks so far, friends. And he's been trying to catch some of those big old catfish. We see him catch a scorpion for bait, and there's over 100 species of scorpions in South Africa. 100 grams of scorpions equals about 330 calories or 50 grams of protein. And Nathan says he might start having to eat these scorpions. But he's been breaking his line, his 30-pound fishing line, and losing those hooks. So he comes up with a good idea. He double, triples, and quadruples his fishing line. He makes a 120-pound fishing line. And as he's putting these twists in the line. Good on Nathan, super smart. He's got that heavy 4-ply, 120-pound fishing line now. And he puts that big old scorpion on his largest hook, throws it out in the lake, and goes back to camp to wait. We see him, he sees a mouse at camp, and he wants to catch one of those mice to use as catfish bait. We see him make a figure 4 deadfall with the big old flat rock. He wants to catch that mouse. We'll see if he can. All right, friends, later that afternoon, he, oh, by the way, on that figure 4 deadfall, he uses a piece of dried fish as bait. We'll see if the mice like that. We learned that the catfish have a keen sense of smell. And Nathan heads back down to the shoreline to check his new 120-pound line, and he's got a big old 35-inch, 20-pound sharp-toothed catfish. And he uses part of that fish head, cracks it open with the rock, and uses part of the brains, part of that head, on the hook, and throws that line back out in the lake right away to try to catch another one. We see him back at camp that night. He cooks up that fish head. You got to eat the head first, friends, because that's going to spoil the fastest with the brains. Brains are a lot of fat. That's going to spoil quick, so it's super smart to eat the brains and the head first. That's what he does. We learned that he brought some Himalayan salt, and that Himalayan salt's good for some potassium, calcium, and magnesium. And he does a smart thing and cooks that fish in a pot to capture all the calories. He doesn't want you cook it and broil it over an open flame, and some of that fat and some of those calories are going to drip out and you're going to lose it. Smart on Nathan to cook it in a pot. Drink the water. All right, friends, it's day 9 now, 10:06 a.m., and the show goes back over to Katie. She's the 45-year-old from Emerald Beach, Australia. She's looking pretty strong, I gotta say. She finds where the water buck are coming down to get a drink, friends. She finds a lot of sign, a lot of prints, and a lot of fresh sign from the water buck where they've been coming down to the lake to get a drink. And she scopes out the area, scouts out the area, and she sees a nice place where she plans on ambushing these water buck, but not yet. She wants to wait till she gets her shelter done. Cold weather's moving in. She said it was cold last night, the first night she's been cold. So we see her start to work on her shelter, and she wants to build a half dome style. She gets some long sticks, some long small trees, and she bends them over. And we see some of that acacia cordage that she made on day 4. She uses that acacia cordage to tie together those poles to make the frame of that half dome. And while she's making that, she sees some rain clouds off in the distance. Looks like there could be some rain off in the distance coming in about 4 days to a week. She wants to get that shelter done. And friends, the show ends right there. It was a pretty short one. We still got 6 people left. Everybody's starting to settle in. Everybody's looking pretty strong. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned for next week's show notes. They did give us a preview, and it looks like rain is coming in the forecast, and it looks like a couple of the participants are going to get flooded out. So stay tuned for the show notes coming up on episode 5. All right, friends, there you have it. That's the conclusion of my show notes of season 12 of Alone. They're in South Africa, the Great Karoo. Everybody's on this big lake. The water's green, it's murky. They gotta boil it, and they gotta purify that water. 4 people already got sick and tapped out. Well, 3 got sick. 1 had a mental sickness, but there's 6 people left. I'm gonna bring you the show notes as soon as I get them next week. And I wanna thank you for stopping by the channel. I appreciate everything you do for the channel, all your likes, all your views, all your shares. Most importantly, all your comments. Leave me a comment. Let me know who you think's gonna win this thing. I might have some money on Nathan. I might have some money on one of the women. The women are looking strong. Katie and Kelsey looking strong. We'll see what happens, friends. All right. Please, please don't depart from the faith. And if you haven't already, give your life to Christ. Do it today. Don't wait. And as always, God is good. God is great. I see y'all on the next video. Already got a date.